The idea that whatever is going on in my world, I control, I own. But what's interesting about this scenario is people don't know what's going on. When you're in a situation like this, I always tell people as leaders, what you need to do is you need to tell the truth to your team. You need to tell them the truth about what's happening. And there's going to be bad news. And if you sit on that bad news, it's not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get worse. But what's interesting about this scenario is people don't know what's going on. So how do you handle that, Jocko? If I don't know what the truth is, how do I handle that? What do I tell my team when I don't know what the truth is? What you do then is you tell your team the truth about not knowing. So when you say, listen, right now this is impacting our business, I don't know how long it's going to last for. You can't say, hey, this is only going to last 6 weeks, or this is only going to last a month, or this is going to last until, Christmas. You don't know. And I promise you, the minute you put your stake in the ground and you make a claim about something, Murphy's Law says it's going to go completely the other direction. So what you do is you say, hey, team, I don't really know how long this is going to last. It looks like it could be anywhere between 4 weeks and 4 months. And so this is what we're going to prepare for. We're going to be ready in the short term to do this. In the long term, if it extends, we're going to be ready over here. We're going to develop some contingency plans, and this is how we're going to move forward. And so by telling your team the truth about what's happening and by telling the team the truth about what you don't know, your team actually increases their trust for you, and it's a good way to stay unified as a team, because you all have the same understanding of where you're going and how you're going to get there. Listen, this virus is going to eventually run its course regardless, and it's going to taper off. That's what will happen. That's what nature will cause. But we don't know when that's going to be. So you give them that long-term kind of light at the end of the tunnel, and it's sort of like explaining to someone why a mission is important. Hey, this is important because it fits into the strategy over here or over there. So you want to give them that long-term, but then you also want to say, listen, in the meantime, while we're waiting for this thing to run out, here's some short-term things that we're going to do. We're going to be okay. We're going to tighten up the team. We're going to pivot in this direction to make sure we can still support our clients over here. So you make little short-term goals that are attainable so that people understand, listen, we don't need to get paralyzed. We need to take action. We need to move. We need to move forward, and we can do it with little chunks, little movements at a time, which is how people continue to function by taking action. Look, there's some people with COVID that should absolutely be afraid. If you're elderly, if you have a compromised immune system, if you have underlying health issues, this thing is bad. I've been talking about my dad. Like, my dad is 80 years old, and he's compromised immune system. I mean, if my dad catches this, it's not going to be good. So he needs to be afraid and use that fear to keep him with habits that will keep him safe through this. Other people, myself, I'm a young, healthy guy. There's not much for me to be afraid of, because I think if I got sick with this, it would take me down for a couple days, maybe a week, whatever, and I'd be okay. That's what happens to a majority of young, healthy people that get it. So I think what you have to do, when I talk about fear, I always say, listen, there's things that you can control and there's things that you can't control. And what you want to do is you take the things that you can't control. Look, I could be in that percentage of people, that tiny percentage of people that catches this, and even though they're young and even though they're healthy, they die. Like, I could be in that category. And that's something that I can't really control. If it ended up that way, that's the way it is. It's a tiny percentage. I have to kind of take that and compartmentalize it. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing I can do about that. If I'm in that category, there's nothing I can do about it. And then there's a bunch of things that I can control, right? There's a bunch of things that I can control. And I need to focus on the things that I can control and then go out and execute. I used to talk about, and I've told this story before with you in the past. You can be afraid of getting blown up by an IED, an improvised explosive device, a roadside bomb that was the biggest killer in Iraq. 75% of the casualties were caused by roadside bombs. That fear can be paralyzing. And if you focus on that fear and the chance that can happen to you, you won't be able to do your job. So what you say is, okay, that can happen to me. What can I do to mitigate that risk? And then once you've done what you can to mitigate that risk, you got to put it out of your mind and concentrate on the things that you can control. So that's what I do. I look at the things that I can control. It's little things right now. Hey, keep your distance from people, wash your hands, all these, like, I can control those things. But there's things that I can't control, which is if by some random chance I get this from wherever, the supermarket, and then some other random chance that I'm the tiny percentage of people that are young and healthy that this kills, I can't control that. And if I focus on that, I'm going to be paralyzed. And that means I'm not going anywhere. I'm not carrying on with my life, and I'm not going to live like that. So what you can't control. If you can't control something, compartmentalize it and don't focus on it. When you focus on that stuff, it actually takes away from doing well. It actually takes away from you being able to do your job. So focus on the things you can control.